the god of public opinion in the age of social media. Molech, Malcam, and the sacrifice of divine thought. Welcome to Ancient the Architect TV, where we decode the sacred, resurrect the forgotten, and rebuild the inner temple of the soul. What you're about to hear is not simply commentary. It is a metaphysical transmission, a spiritual diagnosis of the age we are living in, where ancient gods have changed names, but not nature. In the biblical world, Molech demanded the lives of children, but today, his altars are digital, his temples algorithmic, and his fire is now sustained by public platforms, opinion algorithms, and collective validation loops. What was once ritual sacrifice has now become psychological and social sacrifice. He no longer feeds on bodies. He feeds on divine ideas, on the soul of your inner child, your spiritual originality, your sacred voice. And while Molech receives the sacrifice, his child Malcam, the crowned ego, the outer intellect, sits on the throne. He is the god of conformity, of calculated truth, of curated expression. He is born not of divine origin, but of reflected light, light borrowed from the world, not revealed from within. Modern parallels in the gods of today. Molech equals social media, algorithmic consciousness. The fire of Molech has become the burning need for validation, virality, and public approval. The children sacrificed our divine ideas, creative impulses, spiritual truths, and even personal identity. Molech is fed every time a person censors their higher thought, not because it's false, but because it doesn't align with public opinion or trends. Malcam, the crowned ego, outer intellect. Malcam, the distorted offspring, rules whenever outer logic and appearance are elevated above spiritual intuition. In the modern world, this shows up as influencers, curated identities, PR culture, and performance-based self-worth. Israel, higher thought, divine identity. Israel in this context represents the authentic inner self, the spiritual mind, and the voice of divine consciousness. This part of us is exiled when we choose to serve Molech, when we trade truth for applause and wisdom for popularity. Metaphysical implications. People today are living under psychic priesthoods of public opinion. Music, media, fashion, and language are shaped not by inner vision, but by ammonite-level programming, chaotic, sensual, emotional, and devoid of spiritual order. The mind of the flesh, once a private temptation, is now a publicly enforced collective behavior. The cost of the sacrifice. Divine children, visions, ideas, intuitive breakthroughs, are aborted before birth. Lives are curated, not lived, crafted to reflect what is acceptable rather than what is true. Mental health collapses, not from lack of options, but from lack of soul. In the age of social media, the god Molech has been reborn, not as an idol of fire, but as the demand for outer approval. The altar is the feed, the fire is opinion. The children are the divine thoughts you silence to fit in. What was once a bronze statue is now a digital interface, and what was once physical death is now the death of soul expression. In this episode, we will trace their metaphysical bloodline, from Shaharaim, the double dawn of divine light, to Hodesh, the reflective womb of the subconscious, to Malcam, the false king born of misaligned illumination, and finally, to Molech, the devourer of soul fire. All this, rooted in the uncultivated soil of the Ammonites, the ancient psychic field of public consensus, sensuality, and ignorance. The cost? We sacrifice our inner Israel, our divine identity, for the illusion of acceptance. Today, music, media, and human relationships are shaped not by inner truth, but by Ammonite-level consciousness, chaotic, reactionary, sensual, and disconnected from the spiritual order. This podcast is not just a message, it is a mirror. It is a lens through which we examine a brutal truth. We are living in the reign of Molech. And every time we bury our voice to please the crowd, every time we abort a divine thought to avoid offense, every time we crown consensus over inner knowing, we offer our children to the fire. But not today. Today, we reclaim the inner throne. Today, we reveal the pattern behind the illusion. So I invite you now to listen deeply. As we dismantle the false kings, expose the psychic gods of conformity, and rebuild the path to inner sovereignty. This is Ancient the Architect TV, and this is your initiation into remembrance. We begin in the days of Leviticus, where the Lord commands, "Thou shalt not let any of thy seed pass through the fire to Molech." Leviticus 18:21. But what is this Molech? In Hebrew, Molech means king, ruler, judge, counselor. He was the national god of the Ammonites, and in his name, children were sacrificed in fire. But we are not here for the literal. We are here for the metaphysical anatomy of this figure. Molech represents a force of consciousness, the enthronement of public opinion, the tyranny of external perception, and the mind of the flesh. That aspect of ego consciousness driven by desire, fear, and appearance. To pass your seed through the fire to Molech is not merely to burn children. It is to sacrifice your divine thoughts, your inner visions, your intuitive offspring, on the altar of what the world will think. In this metaphysical model, remember that children symbolize your spiritual ideas, divine sparks, intuitive messages from the higher self, Israel within. The fire is public scrutiny, shame, rejection, conformity, and fear. Molech is the inner and outer voice that demands, burn what is too different, destroy what will not be accepted. And what is the modern Tophet, the place of sacrifice? Social media, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. They are not neutral. They are digital sanctuaries of Molech, where the cost of visibility is often the death of originality. In today's culture, youth sacrifice their imagination for viral trends. Artists edit their truth to match the feed. Prophets silence themselves to stay palatable. Spiritual insight is filtered into sound bites, acceptable, algorithmic, monetized. Each time someone deletes a divine idea out of fear, Molech is fed. But where did Molech come from? To trace his origin, we move to the line of Benjamin, the son of the right hand, symbol of faith and divine inheritance. There we find Shaharaim, whose name means double dawn, the breaking of powerful light and understanding into consciousness. And his wife, Hodesh, the new moon, symbol of reflection, renewal, and the subconscious feminine field. Shaharaim is the light of revelation. Hodesh reflects that light into the soul. Their union was meant to birth something sacred. But what was born was Malcam. Malcam, meaning their king, is a false enthronement. Where Molech demands sacrifice, Malcam demands obedience. He is intellect separated from spirit, logic removed from light. He is the inner voice that says, "That dream is too far-fetched. That message is too strange. Play it safe. Keep it simple. Be realistic." Malcam is what happens when reflected light, Hodesh, is mistaken for original light, Shaharaim. He is borrowed understanding crowned as king. He is the son of divine insight improperly integrated, and instead of birthing prophecy, we birth strategy. Instead of a seer, we birth a censor. Malcam is the soul turned sideways, where truth must be approved before it is spoken. Now the terrain that birthed both Molech and Malcam is the Ammonite field, descendants of Lot, enemies of Israel. Metaphysically, the Ammonites represent wild, uncultivated states of consciousness, formed from thoughts rooted in sensuality, sin, fear, and ignorance. They symbolize popular opinion, emotional mimicry, herd mentality, sensory-first culture. The collapse of higher thought under the weight of outer agreement. The Ammonite field is the algorithmic mind of modernity. It is the cultural layer where divine thought is not just rejected, it is ridiculed, reshaped, and replaced by trend and entertainment. This is where Molech rules and Malcam governs. Let's take it deeper. In Zephaniah 1:5, the Lord condemns those who swear by the Lord and by Malcam. This is spiritual duality, claiming allegiance to God while secretly obeying the demands of external logic and public consensus. This is the modern schizophrenia of the soul. We say, "I follow spirit," but we move only when the crowd agrees. We say, "I serve truth," but we speak only when it's safe. And where is Molech most dangerous? Not outside, inside. The greatest deception is when Molech becomes your inner judge. He tells you, "Don't say that. It's too weird. Don't do that. You'll look foolish. Don't follow that vision. It doesn't make sense." And slowly, you agree. You become the priest of your own suppression. The flame is now within, and you feed it daily with your divine silence. This is what Scripture means when it says, "Thou shalt not profane the name of thy God." Leviticus 18:21. To profane God's name is to take what is sacred within you and offer it to a false ruler. Let's go deeper still. Malcam is born a Benjamite, and this is no small thing. Benjamin represents faith, not passive belief, but conquering spiritual confidence. He is the son of the right hand, the executor of divine action. But when faith is turned outward, when it becomes faith in systems, faith in safety, faith in what appears instead of what is, you no longer have Benjamin. You have Malcam. Malcam is fallen faith, faith dethroned and replaced with acceptable reasoning. He is Luciferic in nature, a light bearer who no longer shines. He is what happens when the divine child of inner revelation chooses to become a servant of outer rationalism. The Ammonites, then, are not ancient people. They are a psychic environment, a wilderness of thought where the soul is over-sexualized, overstimulated, over-informed, and under-embodied. They dwell in the generative region, according to 2 Chronicles. This is the energetic base of the body, the source of creative force. But when this force is not elevated, it descends. It becomes addiction, overstimulation, burnout, false creation, fame without substance. When Uzziah, strength, rules the body rightly, the Ammonites submit. But when strength is weak, the Ammonites reign, and Molech is glorified. So what now? What is the spiritual solution? You must dethrone Malcam. You must silence Molech. You must disperse the Ammonites in your own psyche. How? By restoring Israel, your inner divine identity, by listening to your inner light more than outer logic, by allowing your Shaharaim, your divine downloads, to enter your Hodesh, your inner moon, and to birth something real, not reflected. You must protect your divine children, your visions, insights, and truths from the fire of shame and the furnace of public opinion. You must remember, if you've ever silenced your soul to fit the trends, you've met Molech, but you are not his subject. You are a child of the light, born to bring divine ideas into form. And your refusal to burn your gifts at the altar of public opinion is your initiation into freedom. This is Ancient the Architect TV, and this is your spiritual architecture for the modern age. Let it not just be heard. Let it be remembered. Let it be built upon. End of transmission.